I'm Anna, and today Alex and I are going to talk about a very important and exciting topic, which is how to speak English like a native speaker. Because many learners know grammar and vocabulary very well, but when they speak, they still sound different from native speakers. So today, we will explain how you can sound more natural, more fluent, and more confident in real conversations.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex, and this is a goal that many English learners have because speaking like a native means more than just knowing words. It means understanding rhythm, pronunciation, expressions, and the natural flow of the language. And when you combine all of these elements, your English becomes more authentic and easier to understand for others.
One of the most important things to understand is that native speakers do not speak word by word. Instead, they connect words together, reduce sounds, and speak in groups of words. So, if you want to sound natural, you need to learn how to connect your speech in the same way.
Yes, and this connection of words is what creates natural rhythm, because instead of saying each word separately, native speakers blend them together. And this makes their speech smoother, faster, and more musical, which is something you can train yourself to do over time.
Another key point is pronunciation, because pronunciation is not just about saying words correctly, but also about stress, intonation, and rhythm. And when you use the correct stress in a sentence, your speech immediately sounds more natural and more like a native speaker.
Yes, and intonation is especially important because the rise and fall of your voice can change the meaning and feeling of your sentence. And when you master intonation, you can express emotions and ideas more clearly and naturally.
Let's also talk about common expressions because native speakers often use fixed phrases and everyday expressions instead of formal or complicated sentences. And when you learn these expressions, your speech becomes more natural and more fluent.
Yes, and these expressions are very powerful because they are used in real life conversations. And when you use them, you sound more like a native speaker, and people can understand you more easily without confusion.
Another important habit is listening to native speakers regularly, because when you listen to real conversations, your brain starts to absorb the natural patterns of speech, and this helps you imitate the same patterns when you speak.
Yes, and listening is like feeding your brain with the correct input because you cannot speak naturally if you have not heard natural English enough. So, listening and speaking go together and support each other.
Shadowing is also one of the most powerful techniques because when you repeat immediately after a native speaker, you train your brain, your mouth, and your ears at the same time. And this helps you improve both listening and speaking simultaneously.
Yes, and shadowing also improves your confidence because when you can follow a native speaker in real time, you start feeling more comfortable with the speed and rhythm of the language.
Another important thing is reducing translation, because when you translate in your head, your speech becomes slow and unnatural. So instead of translating, you should try to think directly in English as much as possible.
Yes, and thinking directly in English allows your ideas to come out faster because there's no delay between thinking and speaking, which makes your communication smoother and more natural.
Let's talk about simplicity, Because native speakers often use simple sentences in everyday life, and they do not always use complex grammar. So you should not feel pressure to use difficult structures all the time.
Yes, and simple sentences can be very powerful when used correctly because they are clear, direct, and easy to understand, which is exactly how native speakers communicate in real situations.
Another key idea is confidence, because even if you make mistakes, you should continue speaking, and over time, your mistakes will decrease naturally as your experience increases.
Yes, confidence is built through practice, and every time you speak, you are improving, even if you do not notice it immediately. So, consistency is more important than perfection.
It is also important to practice speaking in real situations because real conversations help you apply what you learn, and this practical experience is what turns knowledge into real skill.
Yes, and the more you practice in real contexts, the more natural your English becomes, because your brain learns how to react quickly in different situations.
Another useful method is recording yourself speaking, because when you listen to your own voice, you can notice mistakes, improve your pronunciation, and track your progress over time.
Yes, and this self analysis is very powerful because it helps you become aware of your strengths and weaknesses, and this awareness is the first step to improvement.
At the end of the day, speaking like a native is not about perfection, but about natural flow, confidence, and continuous practice. And when you combine all these elements, your English will become more advanced and more fluent.
Yes, and once you reach this level, you will feel more comfortable expressing yourself in any situation, and communication will become easier and more enjoyable for you.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's conversation here on English Conversation Studio, and we hope this long and detailed discussion helps you move closer to speaking like a native speaker.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe to English Conversation Studio and support our channel.
Also, don't forget to share this with your friends who are learning English.
Thank you very much for listening and practicing English with us today.
Keep practicing, stay confident, and we'll see you again in our next conversation on English Conversation Studio.